Entertainment capital of the world.
Aces would love a stop. Picked up by Gray. She can go coast to coast. There's three. There's two. She's going to launch from three. Chelsea Gray for three. Unbelievable.
It's the T.C. Martin Show.
Jackie's got it. Aces got numbers 3 on 2. To Plum for 3. KP, ring it up. Boom, shaka, laka, boom.
It's time to get your daily prescription from the doctor, T.C. Martin.
To Bay. She's open for 3. She sees it. She's got the bucket. 1, 2, 3 times for Baby.
T.C. Martin.
And you got that right. Money won't change it. Raquana, Baby Williams. Boom, shaka, laka, boom.
This is the greatest show.
The ball is in the air. The Las Vegas Aces have won their very first WNBA championship.
The doctor is now in.
Mercer.
Back at it here on a Friday afternoon, live from Las Vegas. I am your host for this evening, Jose Volonte. You're tuned in to TC Martin Show here on KSHP Radio, 1400 AM, 107.1 on your FM dial, and of course, streaming worldwide at tcmartinshow.com. Joining me today here live from the WestGate SuperBook in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, is my co-host for the evening and a good friend of mine, our guy, C-Win. What's going on, my brother? How you doing today?
Going good, Jose. Getting ready to roll into another weekend. It's Vegas. It's sports. It's more than that. It's entertainment. And it is steaming, bro. Steaming. Rolling down here, right?
Oh, my God.
In the whip.
Tell me about
as the youngsters call it.
That's the whip.
I was rolling down.
Yeah.
It is not chilly, my friend. It is absolutely desert-esque across the board. We're talking 100 and teens. All right, we're talking Nick Nice, our producer,
Nick
going
Nice,
out
baby.
to see his son's baseball game and sizzling nonstop because it is damn hot. But you know what? Hey, it's Vegas and it's July, so it's not a shocker. But still, it's smacked you in the face, my friend. It is absolutely steaming. But hey, let's get it rolling. We got another big weekend and sports across the board.
Yeah, our guy John Murray of the Vegas Westgate Superbook here will be joining us at 2:30 around midway point of the first hour. We're going to get into a lot of gambling talk since we're at the sportsbook today. When TC taking the night off again on the road with the Aces, with what he's doing there. I wanted to talk some Aces with you right off the bat and get into it because not only is it local, but that's national news now, right? The Aces getting their 20th win on the season, continuing to stay hot there last night. Had to figure it out a little bit because it wasn't such an easy runaway game for them in the beginning. Didn't cover the spread, C-Win. 16.5 was where the spread closed. Aces win by 16. What did you see from them last night? And can this team be stopped at all right now, my man?
I saw Asia Wilson was a double-double machine again with the double-double action. I saw 3 of their top players in that starting lineup go for 65 combined points in Seattle, and I saw them knock out a W against a team that they are absolutely superior to. Yes, this is a Aces team that is going to be very difficult for anybody. And I talked about this about a week and a half ago when you start to see things shaping up when it comes to the Aces and all things WNBA. It was perceived, right, going into the season that it was the first year of a super team existence, right, where you had Vegas and you had the New York Liberty, essentially. Yeah, there's a couple other teams that are decent in the Mystics and Connecticut Sun, but there was this idea out there, right, that you're going to have New York, you're going to have Vegas. They're super teams. It looks like they could be, on a collision course for a WNBA championship. Not the case anymore. Vegas is clearly the best team in the W, and they've proven it night in and night out. Yeah, have they had a couple of hiccups during the season? They have, no question. But at this point, if they do not win a second straight WNBA title, it is going to be a massive disappointment here in Vegas. That's just the way it is. This team is absolutely loaded. The chemistry and this team gelling together is unbelievable and is pretty much impressive as all get out when you take a look at this team from that standpoint. And so it was on display again last night. We saw that. You guys talked about it yourself, and TC talked about this yesterday. Our colleague William Ramirez was on another station talking about this because he actually talked to a prominent player from the WNBA during the All-Star break. And the player talked about how, well, they're beatable, and because they don't have any bench. And it's a completely preposterous take in that you look at this bench and you look at, especially the top 3 players on the bench.
Yeah.
They're solid players. Okay. So that notion that, and look, I get it. You're a competitor. You're an opponent. You're trying to, kind of stir things up a little bit, maybe talk a little smack. I get that. All right. But to say that they don't have any bench is kind of laughable. It really is. It's just laughable. So, and it was funny too, because when you're talking to TC, it's like you guys are trying. What is the weakness on this team?
Exactly.
Right? That was like the thing. What is the weakness?
Try to find it, but you can't.
And you made a good point. I mean, you brought up something that I guess you could maybe nail down, right? Or maybe something that you could tweak a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, there really isn't a weakness on this team. There just isn't, and they are going to be far and away the favorite once the playoffs start in the WNBA to win the championship. And most likely, they're probably going to. They don't cut down the nets in the WNBA, but they're probably going to be raising that trophy come about a month and a half from now.
You talk about excitement. I mean, if you guys can hear all the noise in the background, we got a poker tournament going on behind us right now. See win. The Sportsbook is going crazy. You got the Cardinals and the Cubs on TV. I'm guessing there's a lot of money because we got an individual in here that's just going nuts and yelling. But that's also something that's going on in Las Vegas right now, Chris. The fans of this team, of this Las Vegas Aces team, have grown, have respected, and are finally appreciating what this team is bringing to Las Vegas and what they've already brought. You see it all over social media. You see the fan support. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day. She goes, would you go to an Aces game during the week? I say, I'd go to an Aces game no matter what day of the week it is because they sell out all the time. The excitement is good. The fans are there, and it's a great atmosphere no matter what. But going back to the team itself, I talked to TC last night about Candace, right? Candace is hurt. It's something right now where she's going to be out for a while. There's no timetable for her return. If I'm being honest with you, C-Win, I didn't see her do that much overall with this team. Now, she was a leader vocally in the locker room. We get that. But if we look at her on the court, we didn't see the Candace Parker that we've been used to in her career. Now, again, I get it. She's older now. This isn't her first or second year. She's at the tail end of her career. She's won championships. She's won MVP. She's done it all. We get that. She wasn't going to come here to be the same player that she was in her previous stops, correct? We know that. But how much are the Aces really going to miss her, though? Like, if we're being honest, they haven't really missed a beat with her out. There's been times where, there's lapses on the defensive end and things of that nature. But I think that Becky has done an amazing job shuffling that bench, using Kia Stokes off the bench as a starter now, and also bringing in Alicia Gray from time to time to start this season. I think she knows we have an all-around team. Therefore, that statement of this team is not fully built all the way through, they don't have a bench, they could possibly be beat in a playoff series, I highly disagree with that, C-Win, 100%. This team is built to win, and not only win now, win for a very, very long time. We are going to see quite possibly a dynasty. I don't see them not winning the title this year, Chris. They can beat anyone at any given time, especially if you're going to put them in a 4 or 5 game series, whatever it may be. I don't see this team losing at all whatsoever. Once again, it's your guy, Jose Volonte, coming to you live from the WestGate SuperBook here in Las Vegas, sitting in with C-Win, our guy TC Martin, on the road right now. He'll be in Minnesota. That is when the Aces take on the Minnesota Lynx for their next game. Chris, how much coin have you made on the Aces this year?
I've been pretty even.
I mean, we're in a book. We got to talk.
I have no doubt. And I'm someone who wagers on the Aces frequently.
Okay.
So, but I pretty much, probably a little bit up when it comes to the Aces. Major League Baseball's kind of smacked me down a little bit this year, but that's okay. But I mean, getting back to the Aces, though, I mean, you talked about it. Look, I mean, the bench is decent. Okay, they have, Alicia Clark is a solid player, right? 6 points off the bench last night. George, decent. All right. Kristen Bell is a woman that can actually score some points. She can score some points. She gets rolling a little bit. And then of course Kia Stokes, right? Kia Stokes is one of the best backup centers in the league. So yes, I mean, getting back to the point you're making regarding, can Candace Parker. She's in her late 30s. Okay, like let's be real. Okay, like she's not going to be out there. I look at the situation with her and the Aces a lot like I looked at the situation in Houston with the Rockets with Clyde Drexler.
Okay.
Very much the same kind of thing. Clyde a little bit more impactful for those teams after he left Portland and went to Houston and when they won those championships. But I kind of look at it like that. You brought up her leadership in the locker room. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's a big deal. A big enough deal where you need to have her around even when she's injured, where you don't want to kind of rock the boat as far as this team's concerned. So, I mean, look, yeah, I mean, is she monsterly impactful as far as on the court, as far as statistics anymore? No, she's not. But again, this is a team that has other pieces that can fill that void, that can step it up. And so, therefore, that's why I think they're going to be just fine. I think they're going to be just fine. And she's out now. They can still keep winning in the regular season, I'm of the opinion that they could still win in the postseason even without a Candace Parker maybe on the team.
100%.
But that being said, it's she's been a good fit. I think she's been a contributor to this team, and as much a contributor as a 38-year-old, older veteran can be in the WNBA.
Just crazy to believe, Chris. Just throwing some numbers out there for you guys. The Aces are leading the league in scoring, 93.3 points per game. Fewest points allowed at 77.9 points per game. Blocks per game, 5.5. Field goal percentage, 50%. Points in the paint, 40.5%. Offensive and defensive rebound efficiency is just through the roof. I mean, where do you beat this team? Where and how do you find a way to beat this team? I just don't see it. 20-2 on the season, 4-game winning streak right now after losing the last game to Dallas. I honestly feel that this road trip will be fine. I think that when we get back home to play Dallas, that is going to be the game that everyone I think has already circled. I think the Aces, respectfully, I'm not saying they look ahead, right? I think they focus on every single game that they have in front of them no matter what. But I think that game is the one they have circled, C-Win, because they only had one loss going into that.
Yeah.
And the way they were playing, they hated the way that they lost in that one loss against, I think it was Connecticut, right? It was on the road against
Connecticut.
The back-to-back that they had.
It was the last game of that
back-to-back.
That road trip.
Yeah.
So so absolutely they're going to be motivated. Look, it's a bounce back game, right? Technically for them, that's the way they look at it. But look, this is an Aces team that is loaded for bear. Jose, make no mistake about it. How'd you only put 79 up against the Seattle Storm last night in Seattle, right? That's a low-scoring game for the Aces. But hey, it's going to be a fun ride. Defensively, it's a quality team too as well, right? They hold Jewel Lloyd to 12 points. The two leading scorers for Seattle last night had 12 points each. I mean, that's kind of a big deal also. And then you mentioned it at the top of this segment, bro. Here's the deal. They have Becky Hammond. She's the best coach in the WNBA already, and she's only coached like a year and a half, and she's already the best coach in the league. That's you talked about a dynasty thing. That's the thing that could maybe, I don't know if this is the right word to use, but derail a dynasty is if Becky ends up getting that opportunity in the NBA to be a coach in the next couple of years. Yeah. That could derail the whole dynasty thing, because obviously that would change the dynamic big time here in Vegas. But that being said, I mean, it is a team that is loaded for bear, and I think has every expectation to repeat going into the playoffs this year.
Jose Valonte, C-Win, sitting in for TC Martin here live from the WestGate SuperBook. One game going on right now in the MLB slate. Got the Cardinals taking on the Cubs. Wild game there. We got a lot more games on the slate tonight.
I think the Cubs actually just won it.
Is it over now?
I think they just won.
Yeah, my thing's taking forever here to load up. But look,
I think it was 4-3 final.
One more
we
thing.
got the big screens, Jose,
we got
up
the
here.
Big screens up here. We got to get everything.
Watching the Open Championship obviously going on right now.
Well. Yeah.
We have over across the pond, which is a little weird for us, right? Because we're here in Vegas on the West Coast. So you're talking about early morning golf across the board, and it's a major. So all eyes will be on some of the top players. Obviously, when it's a major, and particularly when it's the British Open and the Open Championship, you got players from both the Live Tour as well as the PGA Tour combined and playing there. So a lot of attention is across the pond on the Open Championship going down this weekend.
Now remember, if you guys miss any part of the show or any part of the previous shows, go to tcmartinshow.com under the podcast section. Also, check out the interview page and hear from our great guests. Go to the current and classic interview pages. Check us out anytime at tcmartinshow.com. I know you guys are used to having TC here on Fridays. Again, TC is on the road, taking care of his job with the Aces, covering that game coming up against the Lynx. You guys can hear him on ESPN Radio 1100, covering all the action there. He'll be back hopefully next Friday here. If not, Monday through Friday, KSHP 1400 AM, 107.1 on the FM dial. You can find him in studio from 2 to 4 p.m. here on the West Coast. But, Chris, a lot going on in the world of baseball right now. I wanted to talk to you about the American League. I wanted to jump right into it and go through there because we'll have our guy John Murray on midway through the first hour. So we can kind of trickle in with him and talk some baseball and some gambling talk as well with him on that. But Baltimore Orioles right now, 1-game lead in the American League East. Technically, we're talking about records, best team in baseball when it comes to the American League side, right? We know what the National League holds. Braves all the way. Really hard to stop them right now. We'll get into that here later. But on the American League side, are you drinking the Kool-Aid when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles? Because a lot of us, at least myself, were on that bandwagon saying Tampa might be the team to beat. Tampa might run away with this division, even though the division might have 3 people in the playoffs, 3 teams in the playoffs, which is what it's looking like because the American League East is the best division in baseball, hands down. No matter what anyone says, I will fight with you tooth and nail on that. I believe they are the best division in baseball. But are you drinking the Kool-Aid with this Baltimore Oriole team, and do they have enough talent-wise to continue this ride and make it into the playoffs and possibly win the division?
Well, I definitely think they have it talent-wise. I mean, you're talking about a great combination of mostly young players and some vets mixed in there. The addition of Hayes obviously is big for them in center field. But obviously you love Rushman, you love Gunnar Henderson, even Santander as well too, and O'Hearn too. O'Hearn's been a key guy for them too as well. So from a talent standpoint, no question, they're going to be right there. Now, look, it's the American League East, so you expect fireworks, right? You expect it to be interesting down the stretch. But for me, looking at the American League East, the first thing that comes to mind is your boys. Because it's not often that you have a team that has an absolute monstrous payroll loaded up big time that is sitting in the cellar of the division that had much bigger expectations, right? And look, we get it. You got to go through injuries in Major League Baseball at times. You got to deal with adversity at times. It's New York. It's the market, and it's one of the toughest markets to be a professional athlete in.
Yeah,
I get all that, but seeing the Yankees in the basement of the American League East, to me, that's the story. The teams at the top of the division, I think, are going to kind of lobby back and forth, and you can break down a little bit of Tampa Bay Rays if you want, as far as what they bring to the table. But no question, I think the Baltimore Orioles right now, I don't think they're going away. I think that they're going to be absolutely buyers, and they're going to be a team that's going to be looking to make some moves and tweak things a little bit. But no doubt I think they're going to be there as they roll into September and early October.
And the biggest thing about Baltimore, Chris, look at their away record, 29-17.
Yeah.
They're winning on the road. They're doing it where it matters.
8-2 in their last 10.
8-2 last 10, 2-game winning streak. And then you got Tampa on the opposite side of things, right? 3-7 in their last 10, 5-game losing streak, 25-24 on the road, killing it at home, 35-16, not a problem. They can go in there and beat anybody at any given time. But it has to be the road woes, Chris. This team has to find a way to win on the road. If they don't win on the road, they're not going to win in the playoffs. If they still find a way to hang on and make the playoffs. Now, would you think, and it's safe to say Baltimore, Tampa, I don't think Toronto, but I would probably say Boston creeps in there, and those 3 teams find a way to get it in? Because if you're looking at the wild card, you got Tampa, Toronto, Houston, Boston, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, that Tampa-Houston can change at any given time because Houston's also trying to fight right there for their division. Yeah. So anything's possible, right? But how do you see it playing out? We're past the midway point of the season right now. We've already seen what teams have and what they don't have. We know what teams have to do when it comes to making trades right now, right? Some teams need pitching. Some teams need hitting. The Yankees can't figure it out on either side because Aaron Judge went down, and for some reason the rest of the team forgot they have to hit too. I think our batting average is the lowest, if not one of the lowest in all of Major League Baseball. So at the end of the day, who do you think runs away with the wild card? Who do we see finishing? If you had to tell me right now, who would you give me as your top 3 teams in the wild card in the American League?
Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Houston.
Because so you think Toronto wins the division?
Yeah, I think Toronto wins the division. I think
what?
I think the Rangers win the division in the West. That's why Houston is going to be a wild card. So, yeah, I mean, you asked me flat out. Look, here's the deal. I think Baltimore's not going away. Baltimore could very well win the division.
Okay.
Baltimore could win the division. I think Toronto's going to win the division though. I just think that when you talk from a straight talent standpoint, and by the way, I picked them at the beginning of the season to win the division, so I'm sticking with it. And they're right there.
C-win special.
Yeah, C-win special. So Blue Jays are going to win the American League East, and then you'll have those wild cards. And Boston might even be a wild card, right? I mean, there's a possibility, right? You could get 3 teams in the American League East that are wild cards because the American League Central is garbage, and you're talking about a Twins team. Yeah, like they're going to bat. Yeah, maybe Cleveland and Minnesota battle it out, but you're still going to have a winner of that division. And then
no faith in your Tigers?
No faith at all. No.
Chris,
absolutely not.
Hold on. In this division?
No.
Wait. In this year, in this division, you have no faith in your Tigers.
They already have got to the pinnacle of what they can get to.
What's the pinnacle of what they can get to in your eyes this season so far? The 44 wins that they have?
If let me tell you something. If the Detroit Tigers are less than 10 games under 500, it's a great season.
Okay.
It really is. Because even the top prospects, the guys that are playing right now in the majors, the Spencer Torkelsons, right? Guys like that aren't playing up to par. So you're going to have, I mean, they're in the division. It's fool's gold, Jose Vellante. It's fool's gold in the division.
I'm not saying I'm betting it.
Like, I mean, you just look at the record. The records reflect these teams, by the way, in this division.
Tigers are 44 and 52. There's 5 games out of the
exactly,
league.
Which is, by the way, which is to me is high as far as like the number of wins. They're gonna. I think they're on pace to blow away, right? Their win total for the season.
I'm not sure what it was originally. Yeah.
But the point being is, this team is somehow. Let me tell you something. The Tigers are somehow 3 games under 500 on the road. That's remarkable to me. Unbelievable. They're 3 games under 500. Their record's worse at home than it is on the road. And we're talking about a 3rd place team in the Central, which the leading team is 2 games over 500. So, I mean, what do you want to do? I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about a woefully mediocre teams at the top of the division. With Minnesota and Cleveland. And the Tigers are 5. Yeah, the Tigers are 5. You see the 5 games back for Detroit, and you think,
it looks good.
They get, if they go on a run, I mean, they could be right there. I mean, I guess, but I don't see it happening. I just, and by the way, I think I picked the White Sox to win this division. I'm pretty sure I did. And
see, win special, not working on that one.
They're 16 games under 500, I think, right? And they're sitting in 4th place in that division. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the wild card right now, and you've got Tampa Bay, Toronto, Houston, Boston, the top 4, and Boston's right there. And Boston's another team that was, came just awful out of the gate. Right, was just not good at all coming out in April and May, and so they kind of righted the ship a little bit. So. Yeah, I think there could be. You could see a solid representation, Jose Vellante, of American League East teams when it comes to playoff time in the American League.
Once again, Jose Vellante, Chris Wynn, live from the WestGate SuperBook here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. You are tuned into the TC Martin Show live on KSHP 1400 AM, 107.1 on the FM dial, and always streaming live worldwide on the TCMartinShow.com. We're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break of the afternoon here, but when we come back from our break, we're going to have John Murray of the Vegas SuperBook, the WestGate SuperBook here, joining us live to talk a little bit about some gambling, some odds, some bets, and see what the crowd has been betting on when it comes to these futures now, because a lot has changed in the odds since they opened up. So stay tuned, stay right there, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The best way to wager on all your sporting action is with the SuperBook mobile app. So easy to use from the palm of your hand. Bet 100, get 100. Download the SuperBook mobile app today and get a $100 bonus added to your account. Experience the most extensive betting menu in Nevada and absolutely no fees. The only sports betting app you'll ever need includes some of the highest payouts and best odds in the state. The SuperBook mobile app is available on Apple iOS and Android phones. Get in the game with the SuperBook mobile app. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-522-4700.
There is no better place for great food and fun than Slice of Vegas. Slice serves hand-tossed New York-style pizza, Italian pasta, and savory sandwiches. Slice is an official partner of the Las Vegas Aces and home of game day watch parties. Come to Slice and enjoy our big screen TVs, full bar, and laid-back atmosphere. Slice of Vegas, located in the shops at Mandalay Bay Place, inside the mall between the Luxor and Mandalay Bay. Come in and enjoy a slice of Vegas.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers is introducing a hot take on a fan favorite, the Jalapeno Pepper Jack Steak Burger. A pair of sizzling patties, melted pepper jack cheese, and sauteed jalapenos, topped with extra spicy jalapeno fry sauce on a toasted bun. Taste the deliciousness, but only for a limited time. Visit any of the 4 Freddy's Las Vegas locations: Eastern near Silverado Ranch, Warm Springs and Julia Road, Charleston and Decatur, and Rainbow near Russell Road. Freddy's, the taste that brings you back.
David Spade and Nikki Glazer, together exclusively in Las Vegas.
You have a guy like this, whenever I take any pill, he goes, dude, give me one. I go, you don't even know what it is. He goes, dude, I got kids.
Shows select weekends, April 28th through November 18th. The Venetian Theater at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas.
Say it when COVID first came out, I knew I wasn't going to die from it. But I feel the same way about like texting and driving. Like, I'm good.
Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss David Spade and Nikki Glazer together in Vegas.
Michael Jackson 1 by Cirque du Soleil is hailed by Rolling Stone as a virtual parade of wow moments that immerse the audience into the world of Michael Jackson's music. Performing weekly at Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, Michael Jackson 1 celebrates the musical legacy of the King of Pop. Looking to elevate your night? The new Michael Jackson 1 VIP experience is now on sale. Get your tickets today at mj1.com.
Who's bad?
Rob Van Dam here. I want to introduce you to my new one-of-a-kind CBD product line, RVD CBD. As a professional wrestler, you know that I'm familiar with aches and pains, and I know what it takes to recover quickly and effectively.
Van Dam, this is suicidal. Lacrosse party.
RVD CBD has everything you need. Tinctures, creams, gummies, smokables, and it's all natural. It's the highest quality and delivering life-changing results. Dude, the reviews are off the charts. Check out all my products at rvdcbd.com and enter the promo code TCRVD. Check this out. I'm giving you a 21% discount. What's better than saving money and feeling great at the same time, right? Use the promo code TCRVD. The best products on the market from the best in the business. Rob Van Dam.
Turn your head and cough. Here's the doctor, T.C. Martin.
Jose Valente, Chris Wynn, coming to you live from the WestGate SuperBook here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. You're tuned into the TC Martin Show live on KSHP Radio, 1400 AM, 107.1 on your FM dial, and always streaming worldwide on the TCMartinShow.com. Chris Wynn, appreciate you for hanging in here with me today, my man, and talking some sports and just keeping me company today, as always, my guy. You always help me out. I help you out. Just the way the game is, the way the business is. But now we are joined here by John Murray of the WestGate SuperBook. John, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a few moments of your time. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. It's opening day. I told
that means he must be belly up. He might be belly up somewhere in some book, right? Or at some. Oh, he's actually there. Okay.
So I just heard from Nunchuck back in the studio, guys. Sorry, we did lose John. We don't have him on audio. So we're going to try to get you back on audio. I do apologize for that. But, yeah, Marco, funny you mentioned that, Marco, is out of town. He's on vacation right now, enjoying some ponies. If you guys are horse bettors, trust me, come down here, the WestGate SuperBook. TVs all over the place, amazing atmosphere, great stuff, great food and drinks as well. Come out here and check out the spot if you haven't already done so. I'm a horse guy myself. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I love betting the ponies from time to time. So definitely come and check out this spot out here if you haven't already done so. We're getting the mics here set up for our guy, John Murray. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him real quick soon. But, Chris, you brought up the Open.
Yeah, I talked about it at the top of the show. And
brought that up,
Brian
and that's
Harmon,
something
by
else.
the way, went low today, gentlemen. 6 under par across the pond there. And so it makes it interesting. Look, Open Championship, it's always about storylines, right? We always like to, the big-time players, and then there's the guys who may not necessarily be household names in the world of golf, but they still have a chance to kind of make their mark, right, and do something. And that's the case. And, right, this is a field that's made up of a lot of those guys that are looking for their first, let alone not just first major championship, but first tournament win, really, that they've been able to get as far as being a professional. So there's definitely a lot of interesting storylines across the board. Obviously, Rory McIlroy being back over there and playing well is a big deal, right? And having the likes of Brooks Koepka and other big names out there that are playing well. But John, talking about this from a betting standpoint, right? How about the options, right? When it comes to the Open Championship, whether it's betting a player straight to win the tournament, or the multiple matchups that you can bet when it comes to this Open Championship.
Hard for me to believe that Brian Harmon won't fall back.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Harmon is not Scotty Scheffler, not Rory McIlroy. I don't see him running away from the field here. I think he's going to come back to the field. He's going to give the other guys a chance to chase him down. Tommy Fleetwood, second. He was one of the higher up on the board going into the Open.
Yeah.
He was the betting favorite after day one, and we have a lot of liability on Fleetwood. Yeah. And then I saw Jordan Spieth shortly after him on the leaderboard. So Spieth, I think, is the only guy who's actually won a major that's anywhere near the top of the leaderboard. So we'll see. It's not the sexiest field.
Right.
It's not. It may not be as good for business as the U.S. Open was, given that it's early in the morning and we don't get some of the bigger names. But should be a lot of drama the next 2 days.
Yeah, speaking of that, as far as like the timing, right? This live tournament's going on. Are you getting like people out here at like 2 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know because I'm not here. I mean, I get up early with my dog because I got to walk her before it's 80 degrees outside.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then we're back inside watching golf. Yeah, there's people that come in here to watch. We're open 24 hours a day. Yeah. Not at the counter, but you can bet on our mobile app 24/7. Yep. There are people in here watching the British Open and now the Women's World Cup.
Yes.
Is as well. So neither one of them are in a great time zone for betting. Good time zone though for people that wake up super early to walk the dog.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the handle. What type of handle are you seeing with this event? Because you mentioned it's not the sexiest field, right? But what type of handle do you get from your clientele?
Decidedly fourth of the four majors. I mean, Masters is, stratosphere all by itself. And then the U.S. Open's next. PGA does well. British, it'll be the fourth best handle we have of any golf tournament this year.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the Open.
Right.
But it won't even come close to the bigger ones. And I think a lot of it is the leaderboard, but mostly it's the time zone. It's tough. I mean, it's nice in the mornings because the leaders will be playing like probably 8, 9, 10 a.m. on Sunday. So that'll be good. But the rest of the tournament won't be great for the viewership.
And then what type of advice would you give to a handicapper that doesn't necessarily bet golf, right? But they want to find a way to find some value in that?
Well, I think the best thing you can do,
No matter what you're betting on, doesn't matter if it's golf or anything else, you've got to have a few different accounts. Make sure one of them is here at the SuperBook in the back.
but you need to have a few different accounts. You got to shop around. No one is good enough to say, this is where I bet I'm going to win here. You got to be ready. In a good position, and don't overreact too much to what you saw the day before. And I mean, maybe famous last words, but it's just hard for me to believe Brian Harmon is going to run away from this field. I don't know that he has the experience level to do that. I think somebody's going to be able to catch him.
Any thoughts or ideas that there could be, a long? Are you getting action on some of these long shots, right? Guys who are not expected to be really in the mix. but could maybe catch lightning in a bottle, right, when it comes to this tournament and maybe pull something off.
We do. We always get, like I mentioned, Tommy Fleetwood, a guy that we get a lot of life from him.
Yep.
They always get Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
They always get Ricky Fowler.
Yes.
He's never won a major, but he was in the final pairing. The last time the Open was here in 2014. It's people don't like to bet as much on Scheffler, Rahm, Rory Wood because they have such low odds.
Right.
They want to get a nice payout. They want to root for the guys they like. Fowler is always one of those guys.
Yeah.
We always get in on Fowler. Then he wins a major. Probably isn't going to be too good for us. If he ever does.
Speaking of teams expected to win, excuse me, the Las Vegas Aces, right? Talking about the best team in the WNBA. Betting when it comes to the NBA is always funny because I got to believe there's people rolling in here looking to take shots as far as, oh, yeah, maybe this is the night that the Aces lose. Obviously, I'd expect that, you probably do have some action given that we have a hometown team here in Vegas that is so successful. It's really good. But, what is the handle like when it comes to the WNBA here at the WestGate?
Well, I can't recall in my career a team in any sport that was this big of a favorite to win it all this early in the year.
Right.
We've got the Aces at minus 350 title to win the whole championship, minus 350. And we just had the All-Star break like a week ago.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
So there's a lot of money on the Aces. Every time they play, they lay the first half. They don't lay the game as much because now the
Expectation is that by the fourth quarter, all the starters are going to be out.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing now is a lot of people laying the Aces first half, and there's a lot of money on them to win the title.
Yeah.
So, WNBA is never going to compare to NBA in betting interest, but we're getting a lot more this year, and it's because of the Aces.
I do have a question for you. How do your props bet work? How do you guys go about doing that? Because the prop market has gotten so much bigger now, and that's pretty much in every sport. And the one thing that I've noticed doing all the things that I do on gambling Twitter all the time and reading and seeing all the stuff that people have out, majority of the people that are out now that are handicappers are no longer betting sides, totals, halves. They're going for props. They're betting who's going to score a certain amount of points, team totals, things of that nature. Do you see a lot of that here?
We do, and we're also open in 7 other states. We're open in New Jersey, Colorado, Arizona, Tennessee, Iowa, Maryland, and Ohio. And there we have tons of prop offerings, even more than we have in Nevada.
Okay.
Very popular with the sharp guys. Why is that? Because the lines in the NBA or the NFL are pretty good. It's hard to find edges in those numbers, but you can find edges in the prop markets. That's getting more and more popular. I don't like it when we do NBA player props. I think it's a nightmare. I think it's a waste of time because, our team, we put up all these props for the NBA. I'm talking about NBA regular season.
Yeah.
And we put up all these props. Everything's done. And, James Harden doesn't feel like playing today, guys. So now we got to close all the James Harden props, and now all the wise guys are hammering the Embiid over, the Maxey over, the Tobias Harris over. Now we're in a bad position because now all that usage that we thought Harden was going to get is gone. Regular season NBA is just the worst sport to book, and it's even worse with the player props. The worst. These guys don't play.
No, I got you. John Murray of the WestGate SuperBook joining us live here on the TC Martin Show. I'm freaking talking about the handle. I spaced out. I was going to ask you something about the handle over here and what you got going on, but you got the golf tournament going on. You have baseball props. You have futures. You have all that stuff going on right now. Talk a little bit about the baseball futures and what type of handle you're getting now that we're at the midway point of the season.
Got some pretty big liability on a few of the divisions.
Okay.
We don't want to see Baltimore win the AL East.
Okay. We're just talking about Baltimore.
That'd be bad for us. We don't want to see Texas win the AL West. And, Texas was a team going into the All-Star break. They were finally struggling a little bit, but they found themselves after the All-Star break. They're playing great again. Bruce Bochy's an incredible manager. A little nervous about that. We didn't think they could jump over. I remember Seattle was a playoff team last year. Houston won the World Series. The Angels came in with a lot of hype. Did not think Texas could jump this high this fast. And we want the Dodgers to win the National League West. That's how we book it every year.
Mm-hmm.
We keep a certain price on the Dodgers, let them bet all the other teams, and we assume the Dodgers will take care of business for us, which they did not do a couple years ago. The Giants won the division, I think, in 2021. But we certainly are rooting for the Dodgers. Those divisions have us a little nervous, though, because Baltimore's in first place. They're well ahead of schedule. And I mentioned we run a sports book in Maryland SuperBook Maryland, where there's a lot of money on the Orioles. So we're at that point in the year where it's time to get nervous about a few of these division futures.
So safe to say that Baltimore is one of your biggest liabilities?
Oh, they definitely are. And they're a team just way ahead of schedule in our book. I think the best player out of that whole group is not even in the majors yet. I'm talking about Jackson Holiday. And they really don't have much starting pitching yet. So for them to be where they are right now is very impressive. Of course, the Yankees have had a terrible season. Tampa Bay is playing poorly the last month or so. I never would have believed that Baltimore this early on in their transformation to be winning a division.
So do you think that Baltimore has enough? I talked to Chris Wynn about it earlier. Do you think they have enough to sustain this and forget the whole best team in the AL, but do you think they have enough to stay strong and win the AL East?
Well, the best thing Baltimore has going for it right now is, they've got an absolutely loaded farm system. So how aggressive do they want to be at the trade deadline? I think if they go out and make some moves, I don't see why not, because Tampa Bay looks vulnerable, and the Yankees, at this point, you got to think they're not going to make the playoffs.
So I gotta ask. Are people betting on American League Central teams to win the World Series, Mr. John Murray?
I don't know about that. I don't recall. Maybe Minnesota.
Really?
Maybe Minnesota, but no, I can't recall. I have to look. I don't recall having any big liability out of the AL Central teams. Now, they certainly bet the division.
Yeah.
But as far as betting on one of those teams to win it all, outside of Minnesota, I don't really recall much of that.
Yeah.
Cleveland is a team, won the division last year. They did win a playoff series last year. Young team. I think they had the youngest team in the major leagues last year.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit more expectation of them this season than maybe they've underperformed a little.
I got to believe, though, and you're talking and switching over to the National League, right, in that division, in the National League Central, I got to believe that you probably had some liability when it came to the Milwaukee Brewers, right? A team like that, where there's people out there that had expectations that they could possibly be a threat come postseason.
We really
in that league.
Going into the season, they kept betting St. Louis.
Right.
We actually at the start of the regular season, you can believe it, St. Louis was minus money to win the National League Central because they just kept betting on the Cardinals. I looked at their team. I thought this is a great mix of veteran players like Arenado and Goldschmidt, young studs like Gorman and Jordan Walker. I thought it made sense. And I think St. Louis has edged ahead of Pittsburgh right now for 4th place out of 5, but they're having a terrible season. Milwaukee looks like I think Milwaukee's going to pull away from Cincinnati and win the division, but we'll see. No real liabilities there outside of Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh has fallen back to earth, and we should be okay.
And talking about the National League West, right, a division in which there was expectations for certain, right, when it came to teams like the San Diego Padres, right?
Sure.
I got to believe the WestGate, and you along with all the other players, probably sit pretty with the people out there who probably had the Padres winning the whole thing,
Well, count me among them. I thought with the Xander Bogaerts signing, a full season for Juan Soto, and Fernando Tatis coming back after playing 0 games last season, why wouldn't they be great this year? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I think they're 0-9 in extra innings games. Their bullpen has really let them down. Maybe they need a change of manager from Bob. I don't know. But that team, I thought on paper, they looked like maybe the best team in baseball. Maybe them 1B with Atlanta being 1A. And I've been shocked by how bad they've been. How could you not be?
I want to know, what type of action are you getting in the National League West? That division is up and down. Giants are still hanging in there. Diamondbacks taking a back seat now after pretty much being on top of the division early in the season. Dodgers seem like they're turning it around and starting to win games at the right time. What type of action have you gotten to win that part of the division? Are you getting anything there right now?
We definitely do. San Francisco is the big liability. So San Francisco, they're pretty much always a liability for us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe because they won those 3 World Series in the last 15 years or so, they are just always a popular team at the betting window in the futures. You don't want to see the Giants win the National League West. You mentioned San Diego. You're right. They're a team a lot of people bet before the season. We want the Dodgers. We want the Dodgers to win that division, and I expect them to. I think those other teams will falter. But the Giants, we talked about Baltimore. They're a team, too. They've got a lot of players in the minors. Do they make a move at the deadline? Do they go out and make a big trade at the deadline? Maybe they get a piece that can get them into the division race. So I think they're a team to watch. They've got a good minor league system as well.
Are the Tampa Bay Rays a team, going back to the American League East, that you're still getting a lot of action on, that the crowd is still pretty much favoring, even though they're starting to drift back a little bit?
Not really. You know, the betting public is very fickle. And Tampa has not been playing well the last, what would you say, a month or so?
Give or take, yeah.
3 to 4 weeks. And no, the betting public, they'll abandon you in 2 seconds. And they're like at the beginning of the year, everybody's betting against Oakland every day.
Yeah.
They're betting against Oakland on the run line every day. Oakland started to win a few ball games and cover some run lines, so they all jumped off that ship and started fading Kansas City every day. Kansas City arguably worse than Oakland. So that's how quickly they'll move on. If they lose the money, if a team loses the money for the public a few times in a row, that's it. Let's go to somebody else.
John Murray of the WestGate SuperBook joining us live here on the TC Martin Show from Las Vegas. You mentioned Del Mar, opening day. I'm from the West Coast. I grew up in LA, so I used to go to Hollywood Park before they tore it down when I was a kid. Santa Anita, used to all that. Again, I don't know all the ins and outs of horse racing, but I know that West Coast horse racing, at least in the books, dominates a lot. You get a lot of people that come out. The handle, the parimutuel handle ends up being big. How has that been for you guys today so far?
Well, let's say this. I don't know anything about horse racing either. I'll make sure you guys know that. I just love going to Del Mar.
Okay.
I just want to be I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. I just want to be there, drinking a beer, losing bets, looking at the scenery, not being in 115-degree heat.
Yeah.
Del Mar is the best. I can't wait to get out there. Del Mar and Saratoga, which is running concurrently right now in New York, they're the 2 best tracks for us. And there's something that can help us bridge the gap a little bit to football season.
Okay.
Because you know right now, guys, we're in the slowest time of our year.
Yeah.
But Saratoga in the mornings, Del Mar in the evenings, it will help us bridge the gap a little bit until we get to football. College football is only about a month away. It's great for business. And we definitely encourage everyone to come down there. I think we've got the best race book in the city. And if you're betting on pari-mutuel races on Fridays during Del Mar, they give you free beers, $2 hot dogs. I think it's the best place to watch horse racing in Las Vegas.
John, you mentioned it. Speaking of the slow time of the season, right? We were here last week on TC, and the guys were here last week. So NBA Summer League, right? Finished up on Monday with the championship game with Cleveland beating Houston there. Got to believe that there's a lot of action when it comes to the NBA Summer League when it's in town here for the 10 days, I believe, 7 through the 17th. And you just have that unique experience, right, where the Summer League is here in town. And yes, you have that opportunity with teams like UNLV Running Rebels, both basketball and football. You have it with the Golden Knights, where guys can be sitting at the arena, right, and be on the WestGate app, and bet these games. And you're sitting there and have the opportunity to watch it live. And I gotta believe that's going to be a big draw, right, for the NBA Summer League.
Summer League's great for us.
Yeah.
It comes around in the softest part of our calendar.
Yeah.
If the Summer League was going on in September, nobody would notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But because it happens in July, obviously after the NBA Finals, after hockey's over, there's nothing. It's even during the All-Star break, which is even better. Then there's literally nothing going on. Summer League's great. It's another thing that'll help us bridge this gap, keep us afloat until we can get football going again.
Yeah, and I'm sure it probably feeds into your action as far as preseason for the NBA, right? You probably have people coming in town that are watching NBA Summer League, and they're like, hey, time to put down a wager on my ex favorite team, whatever it is that could win an NBA championship.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll tell you guys, maybe I'll be the one looks like a fool at the end of the year, but we had some laughs at how many people bet the Spurs to win the title this last couple of weeks. I don't think that's going to happen this season, but I know that the kid's going to be a great player, and maybe Wembanyama will be a champion one day. They're betting the Spurs right now, which I think is a little premature, but we'll see.
John Moore joining us from the WestGate SuperBook here. We are live. Jose Vellante, Chris Wynn on the TC Martin Show here on KSHP. Weekend starting up, John, right? The plethora of sports across the board. So out of everything that's going on, what's going to be the focus? What's probably going to be taking precedent? What's going to be the thing that people are going to be paying the most attention to this weekend?
Outside of baseball is number one. UFCs are a huge sport for us these days. The UFC is our fastest growing sport in terms of betting handle. We have an event tomorrow that's in London, which is actually kind of good for business because it's a little bit earlier in the day. We'll have that on the screens here tomorrow morning. taking a lot of money on the event already. And fighting is another thing. The following weekend, we get a pay-per-view event in Salt Lake City, and we get the Errol Spence Jr. Terrence Crawford fight at T-Mobile. And that weekend, fighting will be our priority. Next Saturday is going to be a huge fight day for us. I expect to handle a lot of money on those two events. Tomorrow, though, baseball will be king, followed by the UFC and the horse race.
John, before we let you go, I do want to ask you about something because it is big and it's in the world of sports right now. Leo Messi making his long-awaited debut with Inter Miami CF there in the MLS in the Leagues Cup against Cruz Azul, which is another low-end team on the Mexican La Liga side. Now, what type of handle are you seeing with that? Has anyone been coming out since the news broke?
Yeah, they bet. So we did an odds boost in our other states. We boosted Messi from -110 to +110 to score a goal.
Oh, wow.
And I told these guys, I want you to be careful with this.
Okay.
Because if there is a penalty kick, they're going to give Messi
easy
the penalty kick. So be careful. Don't go wild with this thing. I'm a huge soccer fan.
Okay.
I would love it if the MLS became more popular. Right now, it's our number 4 league in terms of betting handle. English Premier League is they're in a class all by itself.
Oh, yeah.
Champions League, Mexican League, Liga Mexico, and then MLS. I'd love to see the MLS move up.
So do you think that this move and this signing with Messi take away the revenue and the fans and everything we're going to get in the States? Is it going to help the betting handle, do you think, on the MLS side?
I do believe that it will, especially if Inter Miami becomes a top team. Then people are going to want to see, they're going to want to watch these guys. I heard my guy, Luis Suarez, has been linked to going. I'm a big fan of his because I'm a big Liverpool fan.
Okay.
Suarez, maybe he goes there. Maybe they become a dynasty of the MLS. Having great champion teams is good for business. Having a Goliath is good for business because people want to see if they can get knocked off.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great if that happened. I hope it does.
So real quick, since you're a soccer guy, Messi's already said, I'm not coming back for another World Cup no matter what. He's in the MLS for 2.5 years. Let's say he does everything and just murders the MLS, right? Trophies and all. And he's sitting there pretty, wins a Copa America right before the World Cup. Does he go for one more?
Well, the World Cup is where in 3 years?
United States.
I know that. Yeah, I think he would.
Really?
I think he would. Because here's one of the main reasons why. He obviously knows a million times more about this than me. But Argentina has this great generation of young players. Why would he not want to run it back with all these studs that Argentina, why did he finally break through and win a World Cup? He finally had some help.
Yeah.
Because his generation wasn't the greatest.
No, not at all.
But this generation is. If he's still playing close to the level he's at right now, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I don't see why Argentina couldn't win a second consecutive World Cup. And if they did, I mean, I already consider him the best player ever, but if he won a second consecutive World Cup, then the conversation is just over.
Hands
and
down.
there's nothing left to talk about. Yeah, I can't believe that he would pass that up.
See, I don't know you were that much of a soccer guy, so I definitely got to talk with you a lot more in the near
man.
future for sure.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Premier League.
Okay.
Because we talk about sports I like to watch in the mornings. Number one is the English Premier League.
My son's godfather is a big Liverpool fan because of Luis Suarez. So we've had those 3-4 in the morning wake-ups to watch games. So I totally get it, and I agree with you 100%. In my opinion, English Premier League is king. That is the league that you want to go play and bet on for sure if you're going to do that. But Jose Volante, Chris Wynn, live from the WestGate SuperBook. You got anything else for John before we let him go, Chris?
Yeah, getting fired up for the weekend.
Go. So, John, what else can we get from you before we let you go today, my man?
Sign up for the Super Contest. We're taking the entries right now. It's a $1,000 buy-in. You're picking 5 NFL games a week. And we got 11 in-season contests. So you sign up. You're entered into 12 contests. 3 6-week contests, 6 3-week contests, 2 9-week contests, and then the big contest for the overall winner. And get down here to watch Del Mar. Every Friday night, free draft beer, $2 hot dogs during Del Mar. It's the best. It's the best time of year for horse racing.
There we go. John Murray, WestGate SuperBook. Greatly appreciate you and your time. We'll be talking to you again soon. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Hour number 1 in the books.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Little audio.
How was that? Huh? How was that? Aside from the audio.
No, that's the thing. You're just calling us off.
I went out too early. Did I go out too early?
Come and experience the high-action entertainment at the best rates and sportsbook. It's the world-famous SuperBook at the WestGate, Las Vegas. The largest in the world with 30,000 square feet of heart racing action with 350 seats
Football?
and has 220-foot by 18-foot 4K video.
Talk a little Saquon.
Experience live
Drive.
sporting events
But-
like nowhere else and see the TC Martin Show
What?
live every Friday.
No, I saw the Netflix one, right? Good, because I saw the preview thing, and I'm like, what is this? So I want to watch that.
There is no better place for all your football action than the world-famous SuperBook at the WestGate, Las Vegas. Relax and enjoy the games and the fully stocked bar, free Wi-Fi, plus cocktail service and convenient food options at the court.
But I do want to try
Experience
Saquon,
it all at
Josh,
the world-famous
but separate,
SuperBook
you know what I
at
mean?
the
So you can have
WestGate,
longer
Las
segments
Vegas.
with that shit.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers is introducing a hot take on a fan favorite, the Jalapeno Pepper Jack Steak Burger. A pair of sizzling patties, melted pepper jack cheese, and sauteed jalapenos, topped with extra spicy jalapeno fry sauce on a toasted bun. Taste the deliciousness, but only for a limited time. Visit any of the 4 Freddy's Las Vegas locations: Eastern near Silverado Ranch, Warm Springs and Julia Road, Charleston and Decatur, Rainbow near Russell Road. Freddy's, the taste that brings you back.
One of the greatest songwriters of our time returns to Las Vegas. Van Morrison, live in concert. September 6th, 8th, and 9th, Zappos Theater at Planet Hollywood. On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Van Morrison, live in Las Vegas.
I got it.
Husong's Mexican Cantina, home of the original margarita, as they invented it in 1941. And then there's the food: delicious Baja shrimp tacos, fajitas, chimichangas, enchiladas, and more. Enjoy Husong's Boca Park for happy hour, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. with different drink specials every month. Husong's Mexican Cantina with 2 locations: inside the Mandalay Bay Place shops and Boca Park in Summerlin. Grab some friends and come to Husong's for food, drinks, and fun.
Feel like a movie? There's no better place to go watch the newest releases than the Brendan Theaters at the Palms. 14 spacious auditoriums built for comfort with digital sound and one of the only true IMAX experiences in Las Vegas.
I'll be back.
Oh, righty. Experience the movies in style, comfort, and the best digital audio in the Valley at the Brendan Theaters at the Palms, located next to the food court. For showtimes, go to brendantheaters.com.
When you're having pain or discomfort, see the pros at Total Sports Medicine. Dr. Joseph Yu is one of the leading orthopedic surgeons and is the UNLV team doctor. Total Sports Medicine is your sports injury specialist with treatment for shoulders, hips, and knees, specializing in ACL and meniscus tears, shoulder injuries, collarbones, and more. Call Total Sports Medicine at 702-475-4390 or go to dryu.com. For complete care, trust the pros at Total Sports Medicine. Your sports injury
The T.C. Martin Show, weekday afternoons at 2 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
Smith will keep it. He dives for the end zone. He's got a touchdown! Kansas City! And one of the greatest comebacks in Chiefs Kingdom history!
in the entertainment capital of the world.
Carr out of the shotgun. Looks left. Throws a lob for Michael Crabtree. Caught him! He caught him! He caught it! The Raiders have the lead! 35-34!
It's the T.C. Martin Show.
Sweet revenge for Michael Crabtree!
It's time to get your daily prescription from the doctor, T.C. Martin.
We needed that. Starting to feel like football now. Hey, that was a good start. Hey, that was a good start. We're going to finish for you, all right?
The doctor is now here.
Jose Volonte, Christian Wynn back at it. Coming to you live from the WestGate SuperBook here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Hour number one in the books. Our guy John Murray joining us to talk all things handicapping, Del Mar, baseball, just all the handle that's going on here at this fabulous sports book. If you guys have not been out here, get out here today. All the fabulous TVs up on the screen right now. We got horse racing, we got baseball, we got tennis, we got golf, anything that you need, we have it here on the menu. Come and check us out at the Westgate SuperBook. Our guy Nunchuck back in the studio, keeping us in line, making sure we sound well. And our guy Nick Nice here up in the booth with us at the sports book. But Chris, there's a lot more to talk about right now in the world of sports, and obviously football is right around the corner. The NFL season is ready to kick off within a matter of weeks with preseason, training camps and all that coming in. But there's a little something that's out on Netflix now, the quarterback special. I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to watch it, but you brought it up. So please talk a little bit about what you saw, because from everything I'm hearing, it's very interesting and it's a good watch.
So let me give you a little background, Jose. It is obviously a focus when the name of the show is quarterback, right? So we're talking about the signal callers in the NFL. It focuses on 3 quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, and Marcus Mariota in Atlanta with the Falcons. And it's basically it is a no-hold-barred examination of all 3 of these guys and their everyday life. And Mark Newell chiming in right on our stream feed saying, "Are my Chiefs the NFL favorite to win the Super Bowl again?" I think right now they are. But that being said, so all 3 of those quarterbacks, it was a look. I get it with Pat Mahomes, right? He's kind of an electric guy. He's a personality, right? With him and his brother and his family, there's all that drama. So I get that's good for TV, right? Kirk Cousins, also another guy in which, he's another player who is kind of a love-or-hate relationship a lot of NFL fans have with Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
A lot of times the hate comes from, well, the guy hasn't performed up to snuff or won a Super Bowl or anything like that. But in his everyday life, he's a very religious man. He's very evangelical. He's got a good family. He's kind of an interesting guy in that he was not expected to be a big-time quarterback, right? Wasn't expected to be necessarily even an NFL starter when he came into the NFL. When he was drafted the same year that Robert Griffin III was drafted,
insane.
Right?
That was an insane.
Yeah, and he was drafted in the 4th round, I believe. So they tell his story, and then it gets to Marcus Mariota. Now, look, obviously we're here in Vegas, right? Marcus Mariota, a former Raider, backed up Derek Carr here in Vegas with the Raiders. And they do address that a little bit, and they get into Marcus's story being from Hawaii, right? And he is a guy that's kind of been able to battle through adversity, right, as a quarterback and be able to, kind of carve out a career in the league. But it's a television show, right? When you're watching TV, you want to be entertained. And Marcus has been catching some heat because he's not really great on TV. Right, it has something to do with his personality, with him as a man. I think he's a great guy. He's a great husband, now father, but he's just not really electric on TV. You know what I mean? So a lot of the criticism or people that have critiqued the show have said, you know what, great to have Pat Mahomes on there, good to have Kirk Cousins on there, not really great to have Marcus Mariota on there, and then you can get to the whole idea of why Marcus Mariota and when you're talking about as far as how good a quarterback he is, right? You think of Pat Mahomes, you think about one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right? Along with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and these guys. When you think about Kirk Cousins, okay, he's kind of in that just.
I think gunslinger.
He's a gunslinger, but he's in like that second tier guys. You know what I mean? But Marcus Mariota, I mean, let's be honest here. If we're putting all our cards on the table here in Vegas, he's a guy who's kind of like one of the back end guys in the league. So I think people were puzzled by the fact that he was a part of the show, given that he's not great on TV. And that he's not even he's a quarterback that's going to be battling for his job basically every year, So I thought that was strange, but it was cool to kind of see the behind the scenes stuff, right? When it comes to these guys, it's cool.
Got a Raiders fan walking by.
Yeah,
it's Ravens.
He's got a Justin.
Justin Tucker.
How many fans of NFL teams are sporting the kicker jersey, bro? That is top notch.
That is a true fan.
Well, Justin Tucker, come on, he's the best kicker of all time. So that's not really great. Yeah.
Hands down.
But that was outstanding. So no, I'm not picking a quarterback.
Okay.
I'm not picking Lamar Jackson. I'm not picking, a wide receiver or running back. I'm going Justin Tucker with my with my jersey pick. But that being said, no, getting back to
I'm over here still watching the guy walk away.
I was still stunned.
Yeah.
So, but it's a really good show, Jose. You should probably check it out. It's and it's fairly popular. I'm on episode 3, and it's gonna be interesting to kind of check out the whole rest of the series.
Okay. Make sure you guys check that out on Netflix. I'm definitely
But
check it out.
But Jose, it gets people fired up for the NFL season. That's, you know what I mean? It's leading in. We are just a matter of days away. Now, I think our rookies are reporting like this week. Right?
Some teams already reported today.
Some teams already reporting today. So the NFL, baby, football, pigskin is on the way here in Vegas as well as around the country.
So talking a little bit more about videos and shows and things of that nature that have athletes on it, my New York Jets were, from everything I'm hearing and what it sounds like, forced into doing Hard Knocks, right? They were basically stuffed down their throat. You're going to do it regardless. We got nobody else. You're the biggest storyline. I look at it this way. If you're the New York Jets, why would you not want to have Hard Knocks? You have Aaron Rodgers on your team now, right? You made the biggest splash of the offseason. Why would you not want this televised? And here's the thing. The reason I say why wouldn't you want it televised? If you look and read the list of things that they're allowing, they control everything. They control when and where the cameras can be, when and where the audio can be on. So therefore, as a New York Jets organization, you have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. You're going to get more eyes on you viewership-wise from people that aren't even New York Jets fans. Isn't that what this is all about at the end of the day? It's growing your brand, Chris.
It is
growing the
about.
eyes on your brand and getting more viewership out there. That's what it's all about. So with me, I'm okay with the New York Jets being on Hard Knocks. I believe this is the second time that they've done it. The last one they had was when they had Rex Ryan as the head coach, which that one was a circus because if you know Rex and the way he is, he loves the camera. He's a camera guy that wants to be in front of it all the time. So I think when they had that special the first time around with the New York Jets, it was more about him creating the show, Chris. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily about let me coach this team and show what we have. I think with Hard Knocks being with the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers being on this team, I think it's going to completely change everything and the narrative around this show, Chris. You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no question. And look, here's the thing with the Jets, right? It's when it comes to Hard Knocks, here's the deal. So they're, with I was trying to set up the little video action here with the Jets. Maybe they're thinking, this is going to mess with our mojo, preseason mojo. So you know what I mean? It's going to mess with our ability as a team to get ready for the season. It's a distraction, right? That's what teams, when they're talking about Hard Knocks in the NFL, that's usually the number one criticism that teams have when it comes to that show and having all that surrounding your team, because it's not necessarily beneficial to maybe how you do things as a franchise getting ready for the season. So that might be, look, I'm playing devil's advocate
of course,
here.
Yeah.
That might be part of the reason why the Jets might not be completely on board with it. Set aside the fact of personnel decisions and the expectations for that team going into the 2023 season.
So moving away from the Jets and Hard Knocks, you talk about personnel, you talk about people around the league. There's a lot of contract situations going on right now, Chris.
Yeah.
One of them being here at home. Josh Jacobs gets franchise tagged, right? Doesn't get a big deal at the deadline that he was expecting and hoping to get. As some people think that he deserves the contract, I'm saying pay the guy. What other route are you going to go if you're the Raiders at this point in the running back position? You just got rid of your star quarterback, with all due respect, and Derek Carr, and brought in a guy that might not even play for you in Jimmy Garoppolo because of the injuries, things that we're hearing and all that, right? And we don't even know how healthy he even is coming into this season. I say pay Josh Jacobs. Find a way to pay him. Maybe not exactly what he wants, but let's get close to it. You look up his stats. You look at what he did. He led the league in rushing last year, Chris.
Yeah.
He proved to the Raiders, you need me when needed most. I am here for you. Now pay me for what I have given you. Now, a lot of the things about these guys, though, they're first-round draft picks, Chris.
Yeah.
They're higher picks that are getting paid good money in the first round already, right? But those contracts don't get talked about. We only hear about the money I deserve, the money that I need now. Again, if I'm the Raiders organization, pay Josh Jacobs. He's your workhorse. He is the guy that's going to control that offensive side of the ball for you now with a new quarterback. Do you think that they pay him, or should they even pay him at all?
I don't think they're going to pay him. And I think this is just a reflection of the general devaluation of the running back position in the NFL.
Okay.
We just talked about the New York Jets, right? A former New York Jet just signed today, James Robinson,
Oh yeah,
with the New York Giants.
Yep.
I know we're going to get to this too. We're talking about Saquon Barkley, obviously.
Yeah,
but
we'll
yes,
get to that.
you just laid out the accolades that Josh Jacobs brings to the table, right?
Yep.
What he accomplished last year. The guy was essentially, if not the best, one of the best running backs in the NFL. But teams just don't think about running backs with respect to winning championships. They don't
Interesting.
put the value on those guys, and they don't have the kind of regard is the word I'll use that they do for other positions. And I got to be honest, it might be they have more regard for some defensive players, right? And their abilities to impact the game.
True.
As far as winning championships or getting to a Super Bowl than they do running backs. Now, look, those of us who are old heads, as we're called sometimes, remember the days where the running back was a major factor, right?
Yeah.
Where it was a 4-down guy. There wasn't the specialty of the position that there is today.
Correct.
Where you got guys who I'm a 3-down back, and then I'm not, then I'm going to, the
You
dual
got guys that don't even run; they just catch out of the backfield.
The dual running back system, and then in the case of the New England Patriots, right? It's like 4 running backs that you have on the team. So that's another reason why teams are saying, okay, well, Josh Jacobs was outstanding a year ago, but it's not something that we think he's going to sustain. It's not something that we think is going to get us closer to a Super Bowl. Think about this. Whenever teams win Super Bowls, right? Do you ever say to yourself, oh, yeah, it was because of Walter Payton?
No.
You know what I mean? With the Chicago Bears in 85. No. They talk about the defense.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about, offensively, they were just good enough. They were good enough, but the defense won them that Super Bowl. Baltimore Ravens, obviously, right? 2001 or 2000. That was a team that you didn't talk about the offense at all. But there's very few situations, and off the top of your head, Jose Volante, myself as well, I can't think of, because that guy was in the backfield for them, that running back, Mike Allstott in Tampa Bay with him in 2002, right? Or, or even that Tampa Bay team that won it just a handful of years ago. You know what I mean? With Tom Brady. You don't think about the running back being as impactful as I think they should have the respect to be. And I think that's absolutely playing out in the case with Josh Jacobs as well as Saquon Barkley and other running backs around the league, where you're just not getting that leverage when it comes to your contract and when it comes to what you should be receiving or should be making as a guy in an NFL backfield.
TC Martin Show, Jose Volante, Chris Wynn coming to you live from the WestGate SuperBook here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Talking some NFL football here, a little bit of a NFL free agency, like we said, close to home. Josh Jacobs not getting the deal. He's technically still under contract, has said he will not report to training camp. Chris, another guy that has said, I'm not showing up, and he was on a podcast recently, and he basically said, I hold the cards. I can basically say F you to my teammates and not show up and not play and fight for my money. That guy is Saquon Barkley. Now, I've said this on a lot of platforms. I've tweeted it out. I've been on spaces and things of that nature. If I'm the New York Giants, I don't pay Saquon the money he's asking for. The Giants messed up because they gave Daniel Jones way too much money. Yeah. I harped on this yesterday, and I'll harp on it again. The reason why Saquon will have that leverage, and he does have that leverage, is because they screwed up and gave Daniel Jones that ridiculous contract that he did not deserve. And not only that, if we're going to go statistically, if you want me to be a statistical nerd, he is the 10th best running back in the last 5 years in the league, statistically. So if we're talking about stats, what have you really brought to the table, Saquon? Not that much. You've had a good season. You've had mediocre games, but you haven't made a complete full game after game after game. You're injury prone as well. You say, well, Daniel Jones is who he was this past season because of me. Again, I said it yesterday. A lot of quarterbacks are who they are because of running backs, and that's their job. It's part of what the backfield holds. Do you think Saquon gets paid, or should he even get paid?
Yeah, the Saquon Barkley situation is interesting. Now, talking about his stats, would he have over 1,300 total yards from scrimmage last year?
Something like that.
A bunch of yards receiving, 57 catches, I believe, and 10 touchdowns. So he was very productive. But Saquon Barkley, the Giants are already looking like they're expecting him to not even play the season.
Correct.
I mean, he already said he might have to sit out. Saquon Barkley has already hinted as recently as today that he might be sitting out the entire season. So I talked about they made the move for James Robinson. They also brought in Cole Beasley, by the way. They also signed him today as well, too. Obviously, a wide receiver, not a running back. But the point being is that the Giants are already looking at it like we might not have this guy. And so I think the expectation is that he is going to hold out, and because the Giants aren't going to pay him, they're not going to pay him. They've been at a stalemate on this long-term deal for a while, and it doesn't look like there's any light at the end of the tunnel. Anything in the
Near
recent future.
Yeah.
So I think that right now we might not. NFL, it sucks for NFL fans, right? Because you might not get to see Saquon Barkley on the field for the Giants, but that's just the business of the NFL right now. That's just how things work out. And I talked about it. It's the devaluation of the running back position in the league, and it's raising its ugly head with the likes of some of the greatest players at that position in the league, from Barkley to Jacobs and beyond. And it's kind of tough, but it really doesn't kind of mute our love, right, Jose, when it comes to the NFL as we get things ramped up for training camps to start up across the country.
And then to mention both teams on the betting side, you got the Raiders opening up at 7.5 wins total on the season, now sitting at 6.5, favored to the over at -115. You got the Giants opening up 8.5, favored to the under at -125, now sitting at 7.5 on the total wins, -110 both ways. Chris, do you think these odds and these lines will get affected once we know if these guys are going to be on this team?
There's no question about it. But let's dissect that a little bit, right? Especially on the Raiders side of things, because you're talking about the AFC West, one of the more electrifying divisions in the NFL. You got a young quarterback in LA with Justin Herbert.
Yep.
You've got obviously Patrick Mahomes there. You have the Broncos looking to bounce back and be a better football team. So the Raiders are up against it, man. I'm telling you. I see that number. Like, the first thing I thought of, right, when you read me that number, 7.5 wins, I'm thinking, what's the first thing I think of, Jose Volante? Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
What is going to be his situation? Jose, I'll ask you flat out.
Yeah.
If this is a team that wins 7 games or 6 games, Josh McDaniels is going to be gone, right? Mark Davis is going to have to make a move if they're a team that is irrelevant and they're under 500 and they're nowhere near the playoffs. Where, look, the last couple of years they've been, either in the playoffs or on the cusp of being a playoff team. And look, I get they've made changes. You don't have Derek Carr there anymore. You brought in Jimmy G. That's fine. But Vegas knows all. Okay,
Yeah.
and that win total at 7.5.
Sitting
That
at
screams to
6.5
you
now,
a team that could be under 500. What does that mean for Josh McDaniels in his future here in Vegas?
What it means to me is that he's going to be out. There's no way that this team cannot at least have a winning record. In my opinion, if you're the Raiders and Josh McDaniels, you have to finish no less than 9-8. Because there's no more 500 seasons, Chris. We know that.
Yeah.
You got to get that extra win. It's either winning season or losing season. I say 9-8 is an acceptable season at the end of the day, but with promise to make the playoffs. If you are a 9-8 team that looked like absolute trash, then we got some concerns. And the reason we have some concerns is you have a special teams coach that is no longer here, Chris. That with all the turmoil and BS that was going on, not only in the locker room, but outside the locker room, in the city, in the sports world, just collapsing down on this organization, found a way to get them to the playoffs. And you have a guy in Josh McDaniels that is supposed to be a successor to Bill Belichick, or some people say he's the next guy in line, and gets his second opportunity and shows once again, flat out, that he does not know what he's doing. I'm sorry. I've never been an NFL head coach, but I know football. And respectfully, Josh McDaniels is not an NFL head coach. He's a great coordinator. I'll give it to him. He's shown great things as a coordinator, but he's also been with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady most of his career.
Yeah.
If you and I had a clipboard, Chris, and a microphone on the sideline with Tom Brady, I'd say, yeah, go for it, Tom. Yep. I'm collecting the paycheck. And I think that's what it was at the end of the day. I truly believe Josh McDaniels is not a great talent. And yes, losing season, he's out.
Yeah.
Why would you keep him? And it's hurting the Raiders organization more. And you know why? Because the Aces continue to win, Chris.
Yeah.
And I get it. 2 different leagues. We talked about that. But you got the same owner. So when you have an owner that found a way to win in one league but can't figure it out in another that he's been in longer, something's got to change.
Looking at that division, Jose, I talked about obviously the 7.5, right, for the Raiders.
Yep.
Which is, by the way, a full win below every other team in the division. Denver Broncos, I believe, 8.5 is the win total right now. You've got the Los Angeles Chargers at 9.5, and then you have the Chiefs at 11.5 right now as far as totals. Is there a team, Jose, in that division that can knock off the Kansas City Chiefs, get the Chiefs out of that top spot? Do you see one of these teams either in Los Angeles or Denver that could maybe make some noise and catapult themselves to the top of that AFC West?
I believe in Justin Herbert. I truly do. I think Justin Herbert has shown me so much in the little time that he's been in the league that he looks like a vet already. The kid looks like he can lead any team at any time, any place. And if you've seen the way that he's played against Kansas City, the games that they've had against Kansas City, he's not afraid of that team. And again, you can't say it's Patrick Mahomes against Justin Herbert, right? It's not that. It's Kansas City versus LA, and that's it. I hate when they try to do the comparisons of it's this quarterback versus no. They're not playing against each other. They're not on the field at the same time. But going back to your question, if I had to give you a straight answer today, right now, I think San Diego, LA Chargers. I think the LA Chargers have the best opportunity to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs this year. I think they've gotten better since they've had Justin Herbert in the league 2 years now, or whatever, with 3 years now. I think that they're going to show people that they're a legit team this year. But the difference is, Chris, is how's that defense going to play?
Yeah.
We know what the Chargers could do on the offensive side of the ball. But they can also mess around and give up points when not needed and give up games late. So if I have to be honest with you, I think it all stands on their defense. Justin Herbert will be just fine on the offensive side of the ball. I think him and Justin Eckler will figure it out and be just happy, even though Justin's not that happy with everything on the court, running backs not getting paid in the league. But I think, yes, LA Chargers are the team that could, I'm not going to say they're going to, could dethrone the Chiefs in that division.
You brought up Justin Herbert, right, in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Obviously, we know Russell Wilson in Denver with the Broncos, and, of course, Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. Now let's talk about Nick Nice's former guy in San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo.
His eyes went up. His eyes went up.
He's like, he was my guy when he's healthy, when he's hurt. Yeah, like whatever. But the point is, Jimmy Garoppolo, what are we talking about here? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So what are we? So yeah, I had to throw that in there.
Of
That was
course,
a
you got
little,
to,
little toss in there. So Jimmy G. All right.
Okay, bring it
First time really he's going to be tested as far as not having a solid team around him, right? Obviously, he was a backup in New England. He gravy trained a champion. He gravy trained Super Bowl. Well, I think a couple of Super Bowls, did he?
He got two
in New England as Tom Brady's backup. Got to the Super Bowl, right, with San Francisco. Didn't win it, but now he's on a team where he's going to have to step up, right? He is going to have to perform. Do you think he's going to respond to this type of opportunity where he's going to be the guy? He's got to come out and put numbers up for a Raider team. Might not have Josh Jacobs. You know, he might. Obviously, they've got weapons there, without question. But what do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo and him stepping into this situation that is the Las Vegas Raiders, where he's going to have to be a big-time player?
So here's the thing. This is right here a dream come true for Jimmy Garoppolo in my eyes, Chris. And the reason I say that, you finally have a superstar number one wide receiver to throw to in Devontae Adams. You have a superstar running back that hopefully gets paid in Josh Jacobs to help you in that backfield, right? Tight ends, I get it. You lost Darren Waller, but you still got some other solid guys there that are going to step up and do what they got to do. Defense, obviously, with the Raiders, we know that could be an issue. But at the end of the day, I think Jimmy Garoppolo got a gift by coming to the Raiders as long as he stays healthy. Because if he stays healthy, he has a coach that truly believes in him and wanted him there.
You can't sleep on that connection, right?
Wanted
Josh
him there.
McDaniels, Jimmy Garoppolo.
As where the Niners showed, we don't know what we want with you. We're going to go back and forth. And now the Niners have another quarterback controversy. Because now you got three more guys that we don't know who's going to start and a guy that's already washed up in Sam Darnold that hasn't played that long in the league yet. But going back to Jimmy Garoppolo, I think his health is the big key, Chris. If he stays healthy, Raider fans or football fans in Vegas, call me crazy. This team will have a winning season, Chris. I'm not going to say a Super Bowl or playoffs or any of that, but I truly believe they will have a winning season. I think they can turn it around with Jimmy Garoppolo because there's also the mental aspect, Chris, which people always forget to talk about. He has a coach that believes in him and an organization that as of right now believes in that coach to make that decision. So he finally has the full backing of not just the team, but a full organization that says, you're our guy, take us to the promised land. He's not going to do it. I don't think the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl. If they do, hey, I was wrong, thank God. But I think this is a match made in heaven for Jimmy Garoppolo, and health will be the key. He stays healthy, they win. But, Chris, we got to go to a quick little commercial break before we finish out our last hour here. Jose Volonte, Chris Wynn coming to you live from the WestGate SuperBook here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You are tuned into the TC Martin Show. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers now has a new location on Rainbow near Russell Road. All the great Freddy's favorites are back, including the delicious steak burgers, patty melts, Chicago dogs, and the best frozen custard and sundaes. Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, now with 4 locations in the Valley. 2 in Henderson on Warm Springs and Julia Road, and Eastern near Silverado Ranch, and 2 in Las Vegas at Charleston and Decatur, and its newest location on Rainbow and Russell. Freddy's, the taste that brings you back.
Come and experience the high-action entertainment at the best race and sportsbook. It's the world-famous SuperBook at the WestGate, Las Vegas. The largest in the world with 30,000 square feet of heart-racing action with 350 seats and a massive 220-foot by 18-foot 4K video wall. Experience live sporting events like nowhere else and see the TC Martin Show live every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. where TC and his famous guests preview and handicap the weekend's action. There is no better place for all your football action than the world-famous SuperBook at the WestGate, Las Vegas. Relax and enjoy the games and the fully stocked bar, free Wi-Fi plus cocktail service and convenient food options at the court. Experience it all at the world-famous SuperBook at the WestGate, Las Vegas.
David Spade and Nikki Glazer, together exclusively in Las Vegas.
You have a guy like this, whenever I take any pill, he goes, dude, give me one. I go, you don't even know what it is. He goes, dude, I got kids.
Shows select weekends, April 28th through November 18th. The Venetian Theater at the Venetian Resort, Las Vegas.
Say it when COVID first came out. I knew I wasn't gonna die from it, but I feel the same way about like texting and driving. Like I'm good.
Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss David Spade and Nikki Glazer together in Vegas.
There is no better place for great food and fun than Slice of Vegas. Slice serves hand-tossed New York-style pizza, Italian pasta, and savory sandwiches. Slice is an official partner of the Las Vegas Aces and home of game day watch parties. Come to Slice and enjoy our big screen TVs, full bar, and laid-back atmosphere. Slice of Vegas, located in the shops at Mandalay Bay Place, inside the mall between Luxor and Mandalay Bay. Come in and enjoy a slice of Vegas.
Michael Jackson 1 by Cirque du Soleil is hailed by Rolling Stone as a virtual parade of wow moments that immerse the audience into the world of Michael Jackson's music. Performing weekly at Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, Michael Jackson 1 celebrates the musical legacy of the King of Pop. Looking to elevate your night? The new Michael Jackson 1 VIP experience is now on sale. Get your tickets today at mj1.com.
Who's bad? One of the greatest songwriters of our time returns to Las Vegas. Van Morrison, live in concert. September 6th, 8th, and 9th, Zappos Theater at Planet Hollywood. On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Van Morrison, live in Las Vegas.
Not set in stone. It's only a song. It's only a song.
I do exactly what I want to do.
It's the Dr. TC Martin.
You say I'm insane? I say thank you very much.
The doctor is now in.
Right, little flashback Friday action there. Some
West Coast.
Dr. Dre, Tupac. West Coast, California action. Your boy Jose Volonte, my guy Chris Wynn. We are coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, here at the WestGate SuperBook, the best sports book in all of Las Vegas, in the world, from what I keep being told, especially from TC, and now just being here and hanging out and seeing it. The last time I was here, though, Chris, was before the whole remodel that they did. This was years ago. So this place is absolutely beautiful. We're right next to the poker room, food, drinks, everything.
And Jose, it's being copied by a lot of sports books around town, right? The setup, because you got, big screens galore, aplenty across the board, when you can watch everything from horse racing to baseball, obviously to tennis as well too. But the center bar setup right in the middle of the book where you can sit at the bar and get a view. Plus you've got like luxury boxes, I'll call them, which are, nice tables set up just in front of the bar. So a lot of other books around town do the exact same thing. They're copying the Westgate Sports SuperBook, which is a smart thing to do, right? Because they got the setup here of all get up. But before we went to break, we were talking some NFL as we get set for training camps to open up.
And I said Jimmy G would be good.
Talking Jimmy G.
And you said I was crazy over the break.
I didn't know if I said you're crazy, but my opinion is that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a guy that's going to put numbers up. Okay? I think he's going to be someone who's going to put stats up. Obviously, Devontae Adams and even Hunter Renfrow. You talked about some of the other pieces too. You've got Foster Moreau, at the tight end position. Yeah. So and they do have other pieces. If Josh
they drafted a tight end from Notre Dame this year.
Right. The Notre Dame kid should be solid to Mayer, I believe it is.
Mayer, yes.
So he's going to have weapons. So the Raiders are going to, I think the Raiders are going to put up points.
Okay.
The question is, and by the way, the question has been for the past, 3-4 seasons about the defense. Can it hold up? Yeah, they have pieces like Max Crosby and others that are excellent individual players, but they give up points. But this is a team in the Raiders that, despite the fact that I think Jimmy G is going to put numbers up, there's too many roadblocks in the AFC, my friend. There's too many other teams.
Okay.
And our guy is on the text line, who is an avid listener here at the TC Martin Show.
Okay.
Our guy, Matt Visca, is a Buffalo Bills fan. You're talking about a team that's better than the Raiders there. You're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. You're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. You're talking about other teams, and all you got to do is look at all you got to do is look at the win totals for other teams in the AFC.
10.5.
You're
Favorites
talking about
over,
top-tier teams.
-140,
The Buffalo Bills, still looking for that elusive first Super Bowl, right, guys? Still looking for that they've been bridesmaids, but never the bride, right? When you look at this Buffalo Bills team, lost a ton of Super Bowls. Do you think it happens this year, Jose? Are they going to break that glass ceiling, and we're going to see Josh Allen and company celebrating a Super Bowl win come next February here in Vegas?
Absolutely not. The Buffalo Bills won't even win 11 games this year. I'm telling you right
What's the win
now.
total again?
10.5.
Okay.
Favorite to the over at -140. I'm calling it right now on TC Show. The Buffalo Bills will not win 11 games. They will regress. Josh Allen will regress, and he will prove to everyone what he is. He is the Marty Schottenheimer of quarterbacks. He is a participation trophy quarterback that looks good in the regular season. He shines and he gives you all the stats that you want, just like Kirk Cousins did in Washington to get his money. There's padded stats. Not only that, I'm not saying that Josh Allen isn't talented. Let me get this straight to a lot of people out there. The guy is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I'm not going to take that away from him. But he's one of the best because he has to do so much because he doesn't have that much. He doesn't have a running game. That's why he runs so much. That's why he improvises so much. But that's why he also fumbles so much. That's why he also gives up so many turnovers when it matters the most. People don't want to talk about his turnovers, the negative plays, right? They want to talk about the fact that he's throwing for thousands of yards, touchdowns, running like crazy and doing all the spectacular plays. Let's talk about the plays that matter. Did we forget about the fumble on the goal line against Minnesota last year? Did we forget about the important stuff? That's what I'm saying. So I truly believe Buffalo is going to take a step back this year, Chris. Take the under 10.5 at +110 on the win total.
I mentioned the team that's going to be one of the contenders in the AFC. That's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, okay.
All right, different division, obviously. You're talking about the AFC North. This is a team that looks like they're on the rise, and they could be a factor for a long time, right? Joe Burrow, obviously, Jamar Chase and company across the board are a very formidable team. But again, this is another one of those teams that has been on the doorstep. They've been in Super Bowls and not been able to win it. And so that fan base is looking for that elusive, finally first Super Bowl win. Are the Cincinnati Bengals a team that could knock off the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC and be the team that everybody's gunning for here in the 2023 season?
I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a big fan of Joey Burrow. I'm a big fan of what he's done. I love Jamar Chase. I love the fact that Cincinnati was smart enough to draft Chase after everyone said, don't do it. Don't bring the pair back together. It's worked, and it's working so far. Granted, did they win a championship? Not yet. But look, they already got to a Super Bowl early. They've already been right there on the pinnacle of winning it. They can beat Kansas City. But I don't know how much Cincinnati is going to be able to do this season, Chris. I feel that they probably already plateaued way earlier. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team, but I'm looking at the sheet, 11.5, favorite to the under on the win total, kind of scares me. It kind of makes me wonder, will they fall in that 10-11 win column? Will they get past that and get to 12? I don't know. If I'm being honest with you, Kansas City is still the cream of the crop. We know that. We know that, right? You got to dethrone them at the end of the day. I don't know what I'm going to see from Cincinnati this year. I think they are a question mark. I think there's way too many people that are high on them because of what we've seen. I'm not saying they're going to have a bad season. I'm not saying they're going to have a losing season. But are we really going to buy the hype? Are we really going to live up to the hype if you're the Cincinnati Bengals? That's the question I think that's yet to be answered.
Another one of those teams that are looking to take a step up in the AFC are those Miami Dolphins, Jose. You are a fan of the Jets in that division, obviously. Right now, the Dolphins, I believe, 9.5 is their win total.
Yep.
This is a team that when Tua is healthy, he can put numbers up.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
but
can.
that's a big key that he stays healthy. When you're talking about weapons, I mean, come on now, Tyreek Hill. I mean, give me a break. There's talk that he could go for a 2,000-yard season this year. They're legitimately saying that. But is this Miami team going to be able to produce at a clip in which they can, first of all, deal with the Buffalo Bills in that division, and probably the New York Jets too as well, who we'll get to. But is this Miami team going to take a step back or a step forward? And I think the assumption needs to be that Tua is going to be healthy. Do you think that happens?
You mentioned it, the health of Tua.
Yeah.
If Tua is 100% healthy, I think they win this division.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds crazy because I'm a Jets fan. I'm rooting for my team, but I'm not going to be biased when it comes to that. I truly believe, and I hate to say it because I'm not a big Tua fan. I've never been a fan of him coming out of college. I said he wasn't going to be much in the NFL, but not because he doesn't have the talent, but because of the injuries. But when he's healthy, Tyreek Hill, Mike McDaniels, I'm sorry, the way he's coaching that team is just different from what we've seen from other coaches that have been there in Miami, the regimes that they've had. I truly believe on paper right now, Miami has the best team in that division, but it's right there with Buffalo Bills. I don't think New England has anything. I'm still not sold on Mac Jones. The New York Jets, again, what are we going to see? Yes, we have Aaron Rodgers. It looks great, shiny new toys and all that. But what are we going to see from what we already have there with him? It's yet to be seen. So I think it's all about the health, Chris. Health is a key for Tua. But I'm being a realist, and I have to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't see him being healthy the rest of the season. I don't see him being able to go a full season being healthy. And that's the issue here.
Indianapolis Colts, a team in that division, you could probably get, they're probably going to be a factor in that division. Obviously, Shane Steichen, the former UNLV quarterback, now the head coach in Indianapolis.
Interesting.
But Jose, right? This was a team last year everybody was talking about, right? Everybody last year was like, Colts are going to take a step up. They're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. They could, they can contend to make a Super Bowl run, and it just all fell apart.
Yeah.
And the coach ends up getting jettisoned, and they end up bringing in Steichen. So, I mean, is this kind of an also-ran team in the AFC when you look at the Colts? Because, Jonathan Taylor, whatever, but it's not a team that you would think is going to be making any real noise in the AFC.
Who's their quarterback again? Remind me of this. Remind me of who their quarterback is. Come on, you're laughing.
I think you could fill us in on that. I think you could fill us in.
It's to the point now where every year I feel the last 3 years it's like the Colts are going to be that team.
Yeah.
The Colts are going to be that team.
Yeah.
They're not that team, and they won't be that team. I'm sorry. The Colts are in shambles right now, Chris. They have one good player on that team, or great, and that's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the kid because I think Indy's in a complete rebuild trying to figure out what they want. How can they come back from the Peyton Manning era and even the Andrew Luck era? We know Andrew didn't have that much of a success because of his injuries, but we know the caliber of player he could have been. We saw that game against Kansas City in the playoffs. Those are memories you're never going to forget. But what have you done for me lately, Indianapolis? Just can't figure it out. They keep trying to go after old talent and rekindle that flame, and it hasn't happened. Phillip Rivers, no go. Looked decent, couldn't last. Matt Ryan, you said it. We thought end all be all. They got the guy. We're going to win. Didn't happen last year, Chris. So I don't see Indianapolis doing anything this year at all. Win total, where we're sitting at. Where are we sitting at when it comes to the Indianapolis win total? 6.5, favorite to the over at -130.
It says it all right there,
Give me
right?
the under.
Yeah.
Give me the under
Absolutely. A team in that division, though, Jose, that can be intriguing maybe, right? As we roll through hour number 2 of the TC Martin Show, Jose Vellante and Chris Wynn. Cleveland Browns. Look, Nick Chubb, monster year last year. He is a bell cow when it comes to the guys in the backfield. Yeah, one of the favorite guys to watch, too, in the NFL. We know about what they can do defensively. It's a quality defense across the board. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is there. Kind of a polarizing guy, right? A lot of people absolutely loathe the guy. But when it comes from a talent standpoint at the quarterback position, he's solid. I mean, I look at the Browns. Maybe the Browns, Jose, can be a team that maybe throws a monkey wrench into the situation, not only in the AFC North, but maybe in the AFC as a whole.
Talk about wrenches. You threw a wrench at me on that one. I even paused for a minute. I have to look up at the ponies, see if I get my mind right. But Cleveland. The first thing that we need to do is just start looking at this team as a whole, as players, and let's get away from the scandal and all the BS with Deshaun Watson, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to see football. We don't want to hear politics. We don't want to hear stories or what's going on. At the end of the day, he's in the league. He's still playing. He's there. We're looking at the win total, Chris.
9. Yep.
Sitting at 9, highly favored to the over at -120. Not too crazy. Sitting there, people are believing in this team. I think that Deshaun Watson with a full camp, all the distractions away from him now, knowing there's no more suspensions, no more fines, none of that stuff. He may have to deal with it outside of football in his own personal life. But when it comes to the locker room and his teammates, he can now focus on that, right? Make those relationships right, get on tune with the team, and try to make some noise this year, Chris. They look solid. They look decent when he played last year, right? But again, you had a guy that didn't play all year, that was going through all the mental BS, the lawsuits, this and that nature, everything that he was going through, the suspensions or whatever it was with the league. Give me the Cleveland Browns with a full camp with Deshaun Watson, with Nick Chubb, which is, like we said, one of my favorite running backs in the league. I think they could get that win total. I think they can get to the 9. Nothing crazy, no championships, no divisions. Wild card for sure. I can see them going over the 9 win.
Let's shift quickly from the AFC North to the NFC North, my friend. My territory, as we have a team with a ton of hype coming into the season, the Detroit Lions, right? Had an incredible last 8 games of the season last year where they were 7-1 after a horrendous start. And we're on the cusp of making the playoffs. Obviously, Jared Goff's the guy who can put numbers up without question. You love Amon-Ra St. Brown, and some of they picked up Jamar Gibbs in the draft, who I don't think a lot of people knew a ton about, but there's been some comparisons made to the likes of Marshall Faulk and others when talking about Gibbs. Obviously, they traded away DeAndre Swift to the Philadelphia Eagles. It was another team we're going to talk about, but this NFC
running back. There's another running back you guys lost that left.
They lost.
I'm trying to remember his name. The funny guy that was always in the media, always talking.
Williams. Williams went to New Orleans.
Yes,
but they picked up Montgomery from the Bears, so it was kind of like a wash there. Your thoughts on this Detroit team? Obviously, this is a division that has shifted because of Aaron Rodgers leaving the Green Bay Packers. The Packers were essentially one of the favorites, along with Minnesota, for the last 5-6 years in the division. But Detroit, there's a lot of hype around this team, a team that has had zero success when it comes to the postseason in multiple decades. Your thoughts on what the guys in Honolulu Blue and Silver can do in the NFC North?
So before I give you my thoughts, our guy David Burns chimes in on Facebook and he says, Detroit Lions did okay, but they're not using Jared Goff good in Detroit. That's an interesting topic. That's an interesting
He had a pretty solid statistical season a year ago.
So I'll be honest.
I think was he a Pro Bowler too? I think he was one of those alternate Pro Bowlers,
alternate,
where
everybody, minute, let's get
everybody,
in.
There's like 18 guys that get injured. So
I'm not playing. Let me come in.
The fifth choice ends up playing the Pro Bowl. But that being said,
going back to your Detroit Lions, if I'm going to be honest and transparent and take away me giving you a hard time and all that, right? I do believe that the 9.5 is kind of a high win total to put out in the book. That's just me going based off of what your Lions have not done in the last couple of years, right? But you said it. And I know there's a lot of hoo-hoo, rah-rah cheerleading, and people say that Dan Campbell's that guy.
Yeah.
The hoo-hoo, ha-rah cheerleading is working because you saw what Detroit did to end the season. I think Detroit will come out strong. I think they will capitalize from what they created at the end of that season because they don't want to be that same team anymore, Chris. that team showed you that they want to win. They want to have fun. They want to be a part of a winning culture once again. I think Dan Campbell does have them on the right path. I think that everyone that's out there trying to bring this team down or bring down Dan Campbell and say, this guy's just hyping it up. He's not going to do anything. He's just yelling and screaming. They got lucky. Look at their opponents. But also look at some of their losses, Chris, in the last couple of years since they've had Dan Campbell. It hasn't always been crazy. We can't be in here. He has teams. They haven't been able to hold leads. They give up leads. Their defense is this. You have a quarterback that was trying to figure it out when he got traded going to Detroit after being in a Super Bowl in LA, and then they say, we're out. We don't need you anymore. So I think Jared Goff will be all right. I've never been a big Jared Goff guy, but I kind of disagree with this sentiment. I kind of disagree with that comment. I believe that they did use him well towards the end of the season, and I think that's going to help them figure out how to use him coming into this next season, Chris.
The Buffalo Bills of the NFC, Jose Vellante, are the Minnesota Vikings, a team that has been to multiple Super Bowls, has not been able to win one. There's been, again, a team that had expectations the last 2-3 seasons, especially that season where they had that miracle win, right, over the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs. We talked about Kirk Cousins being the quarterback there and not being able to kind of get them over the hump. Obviously, Cook not being there is going to be a major factor, but it's always interesting, right, when you have guys who are the best players at their position playing on your team, and that's the case, I think, with Justin Jefferson at the wide receiver position. This is a Minnesota team that's going to probably be the favorite in the I think they are as far as win total too as well, as being the best team in that division. Is it respect that is garnered? Do you think that is legit, that Minnesota is that team in that division?
So I just pulled up their record. Week 1, they play the Bucks.
Okay.
I think that's a win.
Yeah.
And they're at home, -6.5 to start the season. Eagles on the road week 2. I think that's a tough one. I think they lose that one. Come back home to LA, play against the Chargers. I think they could get that one. On the road to the Panthers. Panthers are in disarray right now. Rookie quarterback, going to try to figure it out. I think they can win that game. Then they play Kansas City. This is where it gets interesting, Chris. Sunday game in Minnesota. That's the one that I think early on in the season is going to be pivotal for this team. If the Minnesota Vikings win that game, but win it convincingly, right? Not come from behind, have to figure it out, make some decisions and make some mistakes. No, win it convincingly and show that you are better than the top echelon of the league. I think that one game early in the season can change the whole shift of their season. But I like Minnesota this year.
Yeah.
And I think Kirk Cousins is going to change the narrative. And you know what I mean by that? What have I said earlier about quarterbacks? Quarterbacks need a running back to be great. Quarterbacks need that running back to help them out to be great. He doesn't have that guy technically now in Dalvin Cook, right? So what is Minnesota going to do in the backfield now that Dalvin Cook is out? And not only that, how is Kirk Cousins going to adjust his game now that he doesn't have Dalvin Cook there? Is he going to try to throw the ball more? Is he going to try to find other weapons that he has to throw the ball for? Or is he going to be confident in the running back field that they are going to have? I think they'll be okay. I think they have a winning season. I'm not sure about the win total. It's a little bit crazy there, but I like Minnesota.
And a team that, of course, was in the Super Bowl a year ago, moving over to the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You just talked about that as far as the matchup week 2 against Minnesota. This is a Philadelphia Eagles team that I think is absolutely primed to possibly go back to the Super Bowl. But so much of it, and I know we say this all the time, right, Jose? So much of it depends on Jalen Hurts, what he brings to the table this year. This Eagles team, I think, absolutely could be, in the mix when it comes to the NFC. When you're talking cream of the crop in the conference, and you see I think the Philadelphia Eagles are absolutely in the mix when you're talking about that.
Philadelphia Eagles opened up at 10.5 for the win total. Favorite to the overseas win, -150. Because of that money coming in, we're now at 11.5.
Yeah.
Move up a full game. Eagles are now 11.5 win total, but favorite to the under now, which is crazy. You flip it over, now it's favorite to the under, -130. More money coming in on the under. Do you think that that's an overreaction on the crowd, or do you think that's a legitimate reaction on the betting side that, hey, maybe this 11.5 win total is a bit too much for the Philadelphia Eagles this year?
Yeah, I think that could be the reflection of what's going on here. You've also got turmoil in the division too, right? You got that's the way I'll describe it too, right? You have personnel issues regarding some of the other teams in the division, so that might be affecting that as well too. But I don't think there's any question they're clearly the best team in that division, and that's I don't think it's necessarily saying that much, given I thought the Giants were going to be the second best team in that division after all this stuff that transpired here in recent weeks. But that being said, I think they're going to be the team. And look, the Dallas Cowboys, right? I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, it's the Cowboys. And again, we're talking about health of the quarterback, how important it is with this team. But what also is important is what? Is the change of personnel in Dallas. This is not the same team, especially from an offensive standpoint, that they put out there in 2022-23. So is the transition for Dallas going to make it difficult for them to kind of hover at the top of that division, or is it going to be something maybe addition by subtraction, given that, Ezekiel Elliott and others are not there, that could benefit the Dallas Cowboys moving forward?
I think the Cowboys will be fine, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see any issues there. We saw what Tony Pollard can do when given the opportunity. A lot of people say, well, look at what Zeke did statistically while he was in Dallas and the money that he got. But if we're being honest with you, the last year and a half, Tony Pollard has been that guy. Tony Pollard has stepped up and shown up and said, hey, when you need me, I can be there, regardless of the contract, regardless of the money, regardless of where you want me to play, meaning starter or coming off the bench. I'm there for you, and I can be that workhorse, that bell cow that you need. Not only that, he catches out of the backfield. He runs the ball effectively. He can also run block, as where Ezekiel Elliott was more of a power down, hard-nosed runner, Marion Barber type guy, right? Go in there and smash mouth type football. I think Dallas will be fine. I still like Mike McCarthy. I know a lot of people didn't like him. I still think he's in a plug-and-play situation, but still has to figure out where does he plug everything and find a way to play the game correctly. And I think he hasn't figured that out with this team yet. You got talent all up and down the roster here, Chris, on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball. I think the Dallas Cowboys will be just fine this season. But sticking to that division before we finish off, because we got a couple more minutes before we get out of here. The Washington Commanders. And the reason I want to bring this team up, you hit us up yesterday during the show. Team has been finally sold. Dan Snyder is no longer an owner in this league or an owner in any league when it comes to sports, which is good for all sports in the whole world. 6.8 billion. It was sold. He gets fined $60 million right after. So you have a team here that is in absolute turmoil, trying to basically flip a new page. Magic Johnson comes out and says, hey, don't be surprised if the team name changes, which I'm okay with that. I said it yesterday. Change the colors, change the name, change the moniker, change everything. Get rid of all the garbage that Dan Snyder brought in. But they're sitting at 6.5 on the win total, Chris. Highly favored to the under at -130. When it opened up, it was highly favored to the over at -135. Do we see Washington and Ron Rivera figuring this out this season and trying to get at least to 7, maybe 8 wins?
Probably not. No, this is a team that's going to struggle without question. Look, it's not even, and to me, it's not necessarily all about the ownership change or anything like that. That to me has been a benefit and a positive thing. I have a number of friends who are Washington fans here in Vegas who were ecstatic that the deal was finally done. There was a sense of closure with this organization now that Daniel Snyder is no longer part of this team. But I mean, when you look at this squad, bro, when you look at this team from a standpoint of personnel, right? Terry McLaurin, I mean, nice player. I mean, you're not gonna be overly enthusiastic about their chances as far as a team. But so no, I don't think they're going to be a factor. I think it's clearly Dallas and Philadelphia are the two best teams in that division. The Giants, the Giants could be there too as well, but I really think it's the teams in Big D, and of course in the city of brotherly love that really are a big factor. I know we're coming back to the end of the show here. We do have a couple more minutes, but nationally, NFC West, right? I think it's a bounce back year for the Los Angeles Rams. I really do.
Okay.
I think that they are the team that look, we could have spent the entire 2 hours of the show, right, Jose, talking about the San Francisco 49ers quarterback situation, given the guys that are there that they're going to be looking to be the number one guy. This is a Rams team, right? 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl, and they still have a lot of the key guys there that were a big part of that. And do you think that the Rams can be another team that could challenge the likes of the Philadelphia Eagles and maybe some others in the NFC to get back to the Super Bowl?
I think the Rams have an opportunity because of what's going on with the 49ers. That's the only team right now that can basically do anything with them. I don't think Geno's going to have that much of a crazy season like he did last year. I don't see the Cardinals doing absolutely anything at all. Their win total sits at 5. It basically tells you a story of itself. But with the health comes everything.
Yeah.
What's Matthew Stafford going to bring for this team?
Yeah.
Can they continue to get that lights out type of play from him and the rest of the team?
Mhm.
I think the Rams will be okay, though. I think they do have a bounce back season, but we're at the end, my man. We had a great
show.
time.
A lot of fun.
A lot of improvising, but you know what?
That's how we
Good.
do it.
That's how we do it, baby.
Thanks to John Murray here from the
Yeah.
Westgate Superbook joining us here on the show. Jose Vellante leading it up and doing a great job. Thanks to our guy, Nick Nice.
Nick Nice in the
producing,
background.
tearing it up and powering through after taking his son out to a 147-degree baseball game earlier today. But it's been a lot of fun, Jose. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and our guy Numchuck back in the studio doing what he does for us every single day here on the TC Martin Show. I want to give a big shout out to TC for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to come in here today. My first time ever doing a live show. It was fun. Hopefully not the last time. But Chris, let them know where they can find you on all these social media.
Catch me on social medias at Christian Wynn on Twitter, at CWin77 on Instagram, and all over Threads. I'm on Threads now too, Jose Vellante. Are you up down the? You're on the
I
Threads?
just downloaded it. Hey, remember
Nice.
though, next week, Monday, 2 to 4 p.m., TC Martin Show. I'll be back in studio filling in for TC Martin one more time. But remember, TCMartinShow.com is where you can check out all the archives. We'll check you guys out next week. Have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. Be safe. We're out. Peace.